Hey everyone, this is Ray again with Cult Finance. And in today's video, I want to discuss something that is a little bit more near and dear to me. I have a 1 year old, and recently I've been thinking a little bit more about her future, specifically her college education and what that's actually going to cost in the future. At today's rate, it's a lot more expensive, the college is, than when I was actually attending. So I'm assuming that it's actually going to increase a lot more in the future. And before we go into like the actual model, I do want to point out a few assumptions and a couple of questions that I like to address. So currently, I did a little research, and currently the college education is out. It depends whether it's out of state, in state, public versus private, but the average is about 25,000. So that's the number we're going to use as our base. I'm also going to assume that every year college education gets more expensive by about 8% per year. And the things I'm trying to understand is I want to know what the amount of cash I'm going to need in order to fund her entire 4 year undergrad program. And then also, how much of that money would I need today if I were to put it in a savings account? Let's say it's at 2% annually per year. How much would I need to put in today in order for me to have it ready by the time she goes to college? And then also, we're going to kind of get an intro into to a 529 here. And basically, I'm going to look at how much would I need to contribute per year in a 529 for her to withdraw tax free on her 17th birthday. We're also going to assume a 6% growth rate on that 529. So let's jump in. So I went ahead and took the liberty of filling in a bit of this model. And hopefully we can walk through this logically for a better understanding. So the cost of education today is $25,000. And that cost of education is expected to grow in terms of costs every year by 8%. And the annual bank rate, the interest rate that the bank will give you for a savings account is 2%. So, in order to look at the cost per year in today's value versus in the future, basically the cost per year today is going to be no different than what it is today, right? 25,000. But next year, it's going to be the 25,000 multiplied by one plus the growth rate of 8%. That's going to be at $27,000. So if we were just to copy that and paste it down by year 18, or excuse me, year 17, my daughter will be 18. The total cost of her education will be $416,817. It's quite a difference, right? As opposed to what I paid several years ago, which I think was around 100 grand total. So it's more than you know multiplied by 4x, right? Four times of what I paid for my education, which is quite a bit. Um, in order to figure out what the present value in each of those years are, and that way we can decide on how much we need in our account today for the future. Basically, what we would do is take the 25,000, right, the cost per year of this year, and then in order to discount it back, we would divide it by 1 plus the interest rate of 2% and raise that to this year, which is 0. Again, copying it and pasting it down, you'll see that in year 17, my daughter again will be 18. I would need to put in roughly $288,000 into a savings account that would yield me 2% per year, right? In today's value, which is a lot of money to put in an account that's only going to give you about 2%. So if you really wanted to, you can actually play around with this bank rate. Say you're going to put in a brokerage account and you're very confident you're going to get 8% per year. Well, yeah, that brings it down to 100,000. Or you're conservatively thinking that education is not going to grow by 8% per year and more on average of 3% year per year. Well, then your kid's education or someone's education is going to be 172,000, roughly 173K for the whole program. And you'd have to put in about 42,000 today in order to save that amount. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how I think about my daughter's education, and how I'm thinking about, okay, well, what is this education going to cost her or I in the future, and what can we do to start saving for it, right? So hopefully this gives you an idea, like a model that, okay, I now have this model. What do I need to do in order to make sure that all of it is covered, some of it is covered, half of it, most of it. Um, that way, my daughter's in a good position. Let's briefly touch on a 529. So, as an individual, your maximum contribution to a 529 plan is $10,000 per year. For a couple, I believe they have to be married. Don't quote me on that, but I believe they're married, is $20,000 per year. And what it allows is this money to grow tax free indefinitely and be withdrawn tax free from that beneficiary to pay for certain college expenses. Now, in our model, our account value for our 529 is zero today. Our yearly contribution, not sure what that is yet, but we're going to go through that. And then our goal, what we're trying to get to, is that tuition, right? The full 4-year ride for my daughter, which is $417,000. And I'm going to assume a projected growth rate of 6% per year on that 529 plan. So, say my wife and I, we want to look at contributing the max amount every year, right? Because we believe that with the maximum contribution and the time of the growth rate, I think we think we're going to max it out and pay for our daughter's education, and 6 years, right? It'll take us 6 years to put it in there, and then we can move on to other investments. So let's see what that would look like. So in year one, we're going to put $20,000. So the current balance today is actually going to be the 20,000 plus any type of residual value we had in our account. Next year, the value will be the 20,000 multiplied by 1 plus the growth rate of 6%, in addition to that yearly contribution. And you'll see is $40,000 and $200 is what we'll have in our account by next year. And by year 20, around $800,000. But as you can see here, we pretty much by year 13 hit that goal of 416,000 and then some. So anywhere between year 12 and 13, we've essentially hit that mark of paying for our daughter's education, and now we can take that money and just move on to other things, right? Well, realistically, is it going to be realistic to actually put in $20,000 per year? Probably not. So my wife and I discussed, and well, we'd like to see what it would look like by the time my daughter's 18. So in 17 years, how much are we going to have to contribute in order to have $417,000 in an account for our daughter's education? And in addition to that, we're also going to put in $20,000 in an account today, which will kind of give us a leg up, right? So we're going to make this $20,000 contribution today, which is that, and then we're going to make yearly contributions and see what that money is going to look like. Okay, so one thing that we can do is go to a program in Excel called GoalSeek. And if you go to the what if analysis here, GoalSeek, what GoalSeek is going to do is going to give us a number for the yearly contribution, what we need to put into the account by changing the value or setting the value to 417,000 in year 17. So the way we do this is set cell D27 to value 416, 817 and 39 cents by changing the yearly contribution. And this number, as you can see, 12,865 and 11 cents. So what this is telling us is that our account value today of $20,000 we just put in, and then plus a yearly contribution of 12,865. By the time my daughter is 17, or excuse me, 18 years old, in year 17, we'll have enough to cover her an entire college education. So my wife actually had a really good idea. She said, Ray, instead of investing 12,865, I bet we can lower that if we were to continue that investment all the way through year 20. And each year that our daughter is in college, we'll withdraw the cash needed to pay for the tuition, but still continue to contribute our cash into the 529. So let's see what that would look like. So basically, what you're going to do in those last 4 years that this person is in college, you're just going to subtract that tuition for that year. And moving down, copy and paste. But we're not done there yet, just yet. We have to set this value, this cell value right here, to 0. And if you're thinking goal seek, then you're right. So in goal seek, we're setting cell D30 to 0, and by changing the yearly contribution. So let's see what that'll look like. Yeah, so my wife was right. So our yearly contribution, keeping this model of $20,000 up front and then 10,579 per year over the course of 20 years, and withdrawing each year the tuition rate for our daughter when she's in school, um, that'll take us about the 20 years if we were to only contribute 10,579 per year. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and the subscribe button below. And as always, until next time.